Hello and welcome to Brands Hatch for round 14 of the Milltek Sports Civic Cup. There we go, I managed to get it out eventually. It's been a bit of a long day. We are here in the assembly area. The drivers aren't going to stay with me for long, so we're going to crack straight on with this. It's a top 10 reverse grid. I'll give you the full grid order when I get up to the commentary box when it's there in front of me. But as you can see, we've got Alden on pole position, and I'm just wondering if Mr. Alden is willing to give us a little word. Yes, you don't mind. I'm not bad, thank you very much. Starting on pole position for this reverse grid, is this a new experience for you, or are you a seasoned veteran from here?
I wouldn't say seasoned veteran, but no, I was at Donington on pole the other week, so this is kind of second time lucky. I make it round the first corner and I'll be happy. So yeah, no, it's good. It's kind of, it's part of Civic. Get the opportunity to start at the front and see if you can stay there really now. So we'll see how we get on.
Are the nerves a little bit different now, considering we're starting a little bit further back in that race one, and more eyes are on you here, or am I just stirring the pot?
No, to be honest, I'm not nervous. I'm just more interested in getting to the end and having a bit of fun. So yeah, no, it's just it's racing, isn't it? It's just we'll see how it gets on. I think it's probably going to be carnage.
Well, we hope not, because obviously we want everybody to get home nice and on time with a nice undamaged car. Well, good luck, Mr. Alden, and we'll I'm sure we might be speaking to you later on if you hold it at the front. Thanks very much. One driver I do want to have a quick chat to, who's starting in the top 4, is actually Will Redford. And the main reason for that is because he had a little bit of an off in race number 1, but we didn't really ever get to the reason as to why he got an off. So, Will, are we happy to have a quick chat before you stick the helmet on? Now, you had, if I remember rightly, in race number 1, I'm probably talking rubbish here, you had a little bit of a contact in Druids, didn't you? Or you had a little bit of a wide moment anyway at Druids. Talk us through that.
So, it was first lap, obviously. I'm trying to go around the outside of everyone because everyone's stacked up on the inside. So I brake really late into the corner, and what I wasn't anticipating was all the marbles on the outside. So as I turned into the corner and I hit all the marbles, as soon as I hit them, the car swapped ends on me, and I was going backwards. So it wasn't ideal. I ended up in the grass at the end and dropping right to the back of the field, but we made our way back through and finished 7th in the end, so it's not too bad.
So there wasn't any contact or anything like that? The car's absolutely fine, it was just a bit of a driver error?
Pretty much, yeah.
Well, fair enough. We'll move on from then. You've moved teams as well. Now, they might have covered this at Donington Park if they've interviewed you then as well, but you moved teams. What's the sort of feeling like? You're happy? You're settled? Are you sort of good with the pro alloys?
Yeah, I'm happy where I am at the moment. To me, it's a better place to be for me and my sponsors. It's obviously you see what the car looks like now. It's good for sponsors. It's good for me. It's a better setup personally for the situation I'm in, like financially. And overall, it's been, obviously the results haven't been there yet, and we're still learning. We're learning how to set up the car still. We're learning, trying all these different things, and we're not quite there, but we're getting there, and I'm happy where I am.
I've given Reese Heath a shout out or two whenever I've mentioned you, because of course I don't remember in Cadwell, but I went to the college too, and they gave me a bit of a ring up and they asked me about you and what we've been up to, sort of thing, since I graduated and everything. What's their support been like through the season? Because obviously that was right at the beginning of the year. What's it been like through the entire season?
Yeah, so Reese have been mega supportive. That is the college that I go to, and they're one of my sponsors. We've had the car over at the college for one of their open days, and they've done a few pieces on us throughout the season. Written pieces. They've put it in a what's the word, like alumni type thing. So it's been good to have that support from our college. They've got a lot of money behind them, which is obviously rather helpful. But they've got a lot of reach for me personally, and it's been great to obviously study there as well, because I'm learning a lot about cars. I'm learning a lot about how to set up a car and how a car actually works underneath the bonnet, and I feel like that's important as a driver to know both what you're driving and how to drive it. You've got to look after these things. If you push them too hard, they're going to break, and if you know where that limit is and you know what's going to break, then I feel like it's better. You end up being a
better all-round driving experience, really.
Exactly, you end up being a more complete driver if you have the whole package there, the mechanic side of it and the driving side of it.
Absolutely, I didn't have hardly any of it, which is why I'm here with a camera. Here with a microphone. Fantastic, thank you very much, Will. Good luck for this second race. Starting on the front 2 rows, you a little bit nervous, or are you confident on this one?
I'm not really neither, to be honest. We just see what happens off the start and we move from there. I can't predict anything. I'm not going to say I'm going to go and win. I'm not going to say I'm going to go fall to the back. So we'll see what happens off the start and where I end up.
Teenagers, you're far too relaxed, you guys, these days. Good luck, Will. Right, another driver who I'm tempted to talk to, but I think we're about to run out of time, annoyingly, but the cars haven't started yet, so I'm going to be cheeky, is Alistair Camp. Now, is Alistair around? His car is here, his team is here, his helmet is here. but he is not, which is a bit of a shame. Normally, they're all chatting to each other. But unfortunately, is that him down at the end? We might be able to just quickly grab him. I think this is him down at the end. Alistair, do you fancy having a quick gab with us? Obviously, we're next to Matt's car, but you weren't anywhere to be found by yours. Your weekend, not quite as good as the first Brands Hatch a couple of months ago. Have you got a plan to turn that around?
Just hoping for the best at the minute. We're just having a bit of a rough time, so see what we can do and get my head down, and hopefully we'll turn it into something decent this time.
Well, what sort of, can you pinpoint it? Can you put your finger on it? Is it a bit of a setup thing, or what's the crack?
Yeah, I think ever since second race at Donington, just literally just can't seem to get the things to turn in. It's just weird because at the start of the season it's been on rails, it's been absolutely perfect, and then now it's just scratching my head a bit. We've been through all the data in the truck, and we think we're pinpointing little bits, but it's one of them, innit? It's a guessing game. We've tried something and we'll see if it works for this race.
Well, the reverse grid should line you up in quite good prospect. You're ahead of all the other drivers who you're sort of battling with throughout the season. Do you think, even if you just get an extra tenth, you have it in you to try and move forward quicker than they do?
Yeah, that's it, literally all it is when we look through it all. I'm just losing temps here and temps there, which obviously round a short circuit like this makes it look like a big loss, you know what I mean? Like, I was on Macri, this one next minute, I'm like 10 cars behind, it's just literally dropping temps in silly corners. That I shouldn't really be doing it, but it just makes your head scratch. I come here from 2 wins early on in the year, and it's just like, what's gone off? Has been driving rig on that bad, that old? It's just like you're asking all these stupid questions, but see what's what, and we'll get full send this time and hope for the best. So.
I was going to say, Snetterton 200, is that a track that you quite like? Because obviously that is the finale in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, I don't mind Snet. I like Snet, it's quite good, quite a nice circuit, so yeah, I don't mind it. This is a place I don't normally like, but like I said, I've done well here past few times, but today it's cursing me.
Well, I was going to say, a reverse grid, like we mentioned, there's every hope. I'll let you get going because people are starting to get in the cars. The marshals are giving their old finger wagging above their heads, so I'm probably going to throw to, yeah, safety car's literally about to move off. I've kept Alistair for probably a little bit too long. I'm going to throw to a quick advert break, and hopefully I'll be back in the commentary box by the time the ads finish.
For voice and data solutions at speeds that are simply out of this world, choose Maximum Networks. for voice and data solutions at speeds that are simply out of this world. Choose Maximum Networks. For voice and data solutions at speeds that are simply out of this world. Choose Maximum Networks.
And just like that, I'm back in the room. Round 14 of the Milltek Sports Civic Cup is about to get underway. We were running a little bit behind schedule, but unfortunately there's been a red flag in one of the time attacks, and they've thrown the checker flag early, which means we're pretty much bang on schedule, which we love to do here at Brands Hatch. My name is Jack Oliphant, and I've been your host and presenter for today. It's been an absolute honour. Hopefully you've all enjoyed the action, and you'll enjoy this reverse grid race as well. As soon as we get the green flag lap underway, we'll bring you up the full grid and what's cracking. The length of the circuit is 1.21 miles to 6 turns, established in 1950. If you're unfamiliar with Brands Hatch Indy, then I'm guessing you're unfamiliar with British motorsport, because it's an absolute staple of the sport here in the UK. Bit of weather for you. There has been a few clouds dotted about, but to be honest, it's been a delightful day. It's been clear sky pretty much for, I'd say, about 50% right at the beginning of the day and right at the end of the day. Perfect racing conditions is what I would call it. And I think all the drivers in all the categories today have thoroughly enjoyed it. If you're here at the circuit still, thank you very much for sticking around for the Milltek Sport Civic Cup. It's an absolute pleasure to still see some of the grandstands filled with quite a few members of the public. Obviously, the Go Japan Festival was here today. If you're only tuning into the broadcast, well, you missed out, I have to say. There was plenty of action. By all means, I'm sure you can go on the Instagram and search for the Go Japan hashtag, or indeed the Facebook accounts or anything like that, and there'll be plenty of things for you to enjoy on the social medias. Speaking of the social medias, I might not get time after this particular race, so please do go and have a look at the Milltek Sports Civic Cup Facebook page and the Instagram, the Twitter and everything else, of course, because we get plenty of behind-the-scenes interviews with a number of the drivers earlier on. They've been being pushed out throughout the day, and of course the brilliant guys at Alpha Live, they've been producing these broadcasts all day, as well as creating those social media interviews with myself. It's been a pleasure to be working with them once again, as they have done for all of the season. I tell you what, why don't we go through the grid now before I take you through the championship standings? So let's do the grid for this particular race. It is a top 10 reverse grid, which sees Jeff Olden on pole position. Alongside him is Jordan Brennan, the number 98. Row 2 is the number 51 of McDonald and the 42 of Redford. Row 3 sees the number 33 of Edmondson and the 43 of Harding. Row 4 is the reigning champ, Alistair Camp. Row number 29, Thackeray. Row 5, number 72, Luff, and 26, Bailey. Row 6 is 140, Cripps, and 54, Caton. Number 70 is the first driver on row 7, is Hillman, and 71 alongside him, Harvey, guest driver. Unfortunately didn't make it through the race in race 1. Then you got a row 8 is Blank, because row 9 is the production category with the 754 of Alfie Jenkins and a 28 of Louis Hounsell. And I believe that's all we've got, because Simon Welch, who was part of that production class, unfortunately blew up an engine in qualifying and decided not to risk any risk it any further, basically, by trying to force the car out there on circuit. Hopefully he'll be back for Snetterton in a couple of weeks' time. And to be fair, the championship for the production class was between Alfie Jenkins and Louis Hounsell, so the fact that we've still got those two drivers specifically, it is a pleasure. Now, if you don't remember, it was a top 10 reverse grid, like I just mentioned, so I'll run you through the top 5 of race number 1. You can pretty much figure out the rest from the grid order. But Morgan Bailey took the race victory as they start their green flag lap. He also qualified on pole position in the qualifying session earlier on, so it was a lights to flag victory for Morgan Bailey. Realistically, it didn't ever look like it was in doubt. As soon as he set off the line and got into Paddock Hill Bend, he always had at least 2 or 3 tenths of a second behind him. He ended up with 2 seconds being the ultimate gap between himself and Matt Luff, who came home in 2nd place. Dan Thackeray rounded out the podium with Alistair Camp in 4th place, and the 5th was Jack Harding. Now, Jack Harding certainly was a driver to watch. If you go back and re-watch that race number 1, he was diving up the inside, left, right and centre. He was getting a bit squirrely. He was certainly putting himself about a bit, let's put it that way. And if you're curious on the championship order, I've got a rough estimation based on my own calculations. I think they're correct, but again, as I said, it's my own rough estimations. We started the day that Alistair Camp was in the lead of the championship by 11 points from Matt Luff. Well, according to my calculations, on drop rounds, that's been decimated down to 6 points. And if you take away drop rounds, there's only 2 points in it, actually. So Alistair Camp still leads the way, but we just had a chat with him while he was in the assembly area. He says he's not entirely sure what's gone wrong. And it's weird to say something's gone wrong when you finish in 4th place, but he doesn't look like himself, especially the driver that we saw a couple of months ago here at Brands Hatch for the first time that the Civic Cups came to play. He took 2 race victories that weekend. Doesn't seem to be able to hook it up quite as well here today. That does leave the door open for other drivers though. Morgan Bailey, who, as I've said, took pole position and a race victory, means he's actually closed right up in terms of drop points to the championship standings as well. With 3 races left, he is only 12 points behind Alistair Camp, and we were saying 11 points. It was pretty damn close at the beginning of the day. 12 points, even at this stage of the season, I would say that is within earshot. And if the speed that he's been displaying so far this weekend, there's absolutely no reason why we can't see him going into Snetterton with an outside chance. To be honest, I think he is already with an outside chance. He just needs to keep it clean. So, Jeff Olden on pole position. He had this opportunity at Donington Park. Apparently, it didn't quite go the way that he was hoping, but this time he said that he's going to hopefully learn from a mistake or two, have another opportunity, and make it through the first 2 corners, which round Brands Hatch, well, round any circuit should be the objective, but round Brands Hatch especially, it can be a cruel mistress round here when everybody's trying to vie for positions. Jordan Brennan alongside, and we'll be hoping to throw a spanner in the works. The engine notes are up and we are racing, and it's an absolutely electric start for the 42 of Will Redford. Not only does he get past McDonald, he potentially gets past Jordan Brennan. He's going to try and split the two front row runners. Will Redford from 4th on the grid through into 1st place through Paddock Hill Bend. That is one of the starts of the season. I haven't been covering every single round, but I'm going to put it out there. As long as he doesn't miss the apex for Druid and open the door up for Jordan Brennan, which he doesn't, that has got to be one of the starts of the season. That was absolutely unreal from the, I believe he's only 17 years old still, Reese Heath College-based driver. There's plenty of moving and shaking towards the back end. I saw Morgan Bailey getting up the inside of 3 drivers, and normally you don't get up the inside of 1 driver through Graham Hill Bend. Morgan Bailey tried to prove me wrong. A couple of further back, there's the production class, currently led by Alfie Jenkins as the 2nd place. Oh, big sideways moment for a few drivers. Alden's one of them, but who's that in the gravel? That's the 40. Oh, just moved away. Lots of drivers going very slowly. In fact, a couple of drivers having to take to the inside. And that's Alden, our pole position man. Unfortunately, that has got to be a safety car. He's right on the racing line. And, well, he said he wanted to survive the first 2 corners. He managed that, and unfortunately, out of the 6, he made it to, well, the 6th corner. That is a real shame for Jeff Alden. It looked like his front right suspension was very heavily damaged. That car will not be moving. And Cripps has come a cropper, unfortunately. The 140 has got something rubbing on his rear left. I assume that's bodywork on the tyre. He needs to get that in and get that sorted, otherwise the tyre will burst. I haven't seen safety car. Yes, safety car boards are out. There we go. So we are under safety car conditions. I'm not 100% sure how Will Redford was actually able to pull that off, but it was quite incredible, I have to say. Take you through the order then. We can see it there as we spot the lonely Alden's car and a lonely Alden actually walking back to the pits, and there's a car actually in the pit lane. I don't know if that's a Civic or whether that's a time attack car that's just being stripped down as they finish for the day. I'll bring you up to date with the top 10 though. Will Redford, as I've already mentioned quite a few times, is in the race lead. Dan Thackeray, I haven't mentioned Dan. Oh, that's Harding. I believe he was the other driver that was going very, very sideways and ended up flying off the outside of Clark Curves. I thought I recognised the car, but couldn't quite put my finger on it originally. That's a big shame for Harding, because he was one of the great entertainers from race number 1. Yeah, Dan Thackeray, I believe he started in 8th position. He's already up to 2nd. So a driver that went under the radar, but I'm sure he'll be watching that one back. And Dan Thackeray fans out there, I do apologise if I've missed any of his absolutely unreal overtakes, because by the looks of it, he's carved through the field like a hot knife through butter. Max Edmondson is in 3rd place. Morgan Bailey has gotten himself up to 4th. Alistair Camp is in 5th. Alistair Camp, I think, started in 6th, so it's a gain of 1 position. I've just been asked by Luke, our producer, if I would like a replay. I would absolutely love a replay, Luke. Yes, if we can bring that up. I wasn't sure if we had the capabilities to bring up replay, so I didn't want to mention it just in case. And here is a replay. Oh, wow, that is a big sideways moment. Just went too wide. And Alden, actually, it was an innocent bystander, spanning sympathy, really. Oh, I tell you what, there's a big contact on the left-hand side of the screen. Harding, though, as he went through Surtees and McLean's, it looked like he just went too wide, was too hot on it, and as he tried to turn into Clark Curve, just didn't have the grip on the outside tyres because they were on the grass, and all of a sudden he's completely sideways. Alden, as I said, almost looked like an innocent bystander, tried to get the car back facing the right way, and unfortunately made contact with what I'm guessing was Cripps, because he ended up having that contact. That damage on the rear left of his car. So, yeah, a lot to digest there. And unfortunately, due to this being a safety car conditions, we are just running the clock down at this point. So we're going to lose quite a lot of track time as the daylight starts to ebb away from us. And I believe there is a 6:30. Yeah, I believe it is 6:30 noise limit for the people that live around the circuit, so we do have to finish by then. So yeah, this will not, they'll do everything in their power not to red flag this so they can carry on through the time limit. Jordan Brennan is in 6th place, Matt Luff in 7th. Not really had the progress that a lot of the rivals have had. He started in 9th place, and the fact he's up to 7th is not bad, but it's not ideal. He'll definitely be hoping that he can beat Camp. We'll be hoping to keep an eye out on that battle. There's going to be plenty to be keeping an eye out on. I feel sorry for Luke, our producer, because there's going to be about 3 eyes that he's going to be needing to be following everything. McDonald is in 8th place, Caton is in 9th, and Harvey rounds out the top 10. And where is the production class? Jakins leads on Hounsell for the time being. Hounsell, who did have a few problems, unfortunately, in race number 1 after qualifying on pole in the production class. He ended up making a little bit of contact, I believe he said. There wasn't anything in it, there was no malicious intent, it was just one of those racing incidents he reported back to us when we had a chat to him. He came in, he spent 2 laps in the pit lane unfortunately, but he did manage to get back out and actually finish the race, and as there were only 2 runners in the production class, he ended up getting a 2nd place. So not a bad way to get a trophy, even if you are 2 laps down. Now the cars are currently circulating the track, they're just going past the Alden-stricken Civic now, which is why they're going particularly slowly. And you might be able to see it as the car comes into shot. There we go, loading on the flatbed just behind the timing tower. So we're not doing this for the sake of doing it. I can take you through a little bit of the points, shall we, for the championship. Like I said, actually, realistically, the top 3 have closed up nicely. Now, I already mentioned that Alistair Camp, he can't quite put his finger on why it's not gone his way so far this weekend. He just says since race 2 at Donington Park, it's just not quite felt right. Something about the car that he keeps changing, something about himself maybe. He's questioning everything at the moment, and that is the difficulty with the championship, especially when you're leading it. As soon as something goes wrong, the pressure starts to build, and even the drivers or the sports people with the best mentality in the world, they start to question things, and they start to have little niggles and little doubts in their head, and it can be a little bit dangerous when it comes to putting out the performances that they need, and you're almost limping across the line just hoping that it goes your way, rather than attacking it with everything you've got. I'm not saying that Alistair Camp, it won't be attacking with everything he's got. I'm just saying that I've been in that position, and unfortunately, I learned a lot from not attacking it and from just thinking, oh, if I get to the line, things will work out. It doesn't quite happen that way. Matt Luff has been buoyant pretty much all weekend. He took home another 2nd place, which I believe is his 6th 2nd place of the season. He also took home a race fastest lap, which gave him yet another bonus point, so it was yet another claw back. So he's on 209 points. Morgan Bailey's on 203 after what has been a stellar couple of races for him. Donington Park, he took home a race victory and a fastest lap. At Brands Hatch here today, he's taken home a race victory and a pole position as well. So yeah, Morgan Bailey turning it on exactly when he needs to. Dan Thackeray, he had a 3rd place earlier on, and well, at the moment he's in a good place to get yet another podium. You can just see Alden's car still being loaded onto the flatbed. Will Redford, he's now on 152 points, 2 points ahead of Jack Harding, who I think it's safe to assume won't be scoring many points here in this one, although he is back out, actually. I'd tell a lie, the cameras have caught him. Is he any laps down? That's the question. At this point, when I ask a question like that, normally there's a co-commentator who takes over while I have a look for that vital bit of information. No, he isn't any laps down. Jack Harding could be a very entertaining driver to watch, although we probably need about 4-way split screen to keep an eye out on all the little stories that are going to unfold in the last, what will hopefully be 5 minutes, because the car is physically on the flatbed. The flatbed is just making itself flat rather than at an angle, which you would need to load a car on. And they are just by the pit entry, so I'm very much hoping that that truck can do a very efficient 3-point turn and we can get back racing. I don't think it's going to be this lap, but I would like to see a 4-5 minute race. And the lap times around here are around about the 53-second mark, so even if we do get a 4-minute race, that should mean we get 5 laps, and around Brands Hatch Indy, that's plenty, especially if you get a hard charging driver who needs to score as many points as possible, i.e. Matt Luff. I'm very much looking forward to seeing him. Please and thank you to everybody who has commented or are thinking about commenting into the YouTube chat, whether you shared it, liked it, whether you sat there silently judging both me and the drivers. I don't mind. Please don't judge Jeff Alden, no, because he was an innocent bystander, and unfortunately his car has seen better days. It will see better days again, I'm sure, and yeah, a bit of a shame that we had a chat to him before. He seemed buoyant, he seemed happy, he seemed like he was looking forward to it. It just hasn't worked out. Now, the safety car is going very slowly. Now, normally, when I've seen this at Brands Hatch Indy before, that's because they're going to try and back everyone up, go so slowly so they can release the cars at the very last minute, but it seems to have sped up just a touch again. The lights haven't gone out, and it would be a bit of a late call to do it now. So unfortunately, although there's not much in the way of track debris or anything, we are going to do one final lap under safety car. I wouldn't be surprised if the safety car picks the pace up a little bit, allows the Civics to warm their tyres up, which you can see they're doing rather violently in behind. That always made me feel ill whenever I had to do it. I was the world's worst racing driver. I'd make myself feel motion sick by warming tyres up. It was always a bit of a dangerous game if you were under safety car for about 10 minutes. But yeah, the safety car has definitely sped up here. He's wanting to get in as quickly as possible whilst it's still being safe and giving the drivers an opportunity to warm their tyres up, get everything back up to temperature and get themselves into a rhythm. We had a red flag actually in qualifying this morning. We chatted to a few of the drivers, specifically the likes of Morgan Bailey, and I was asking him, how difficult is it to sort of, once the adrenaline dump goes and you started the session and a couple of minutes in, you're already into a red flag or safety car situation, you start to relax, even subconsciously relax, you don't mean to. How hard is it to sort of pick yourself up? And he said it is difficult, but it's just one of these things that's got to be done. Speaking of got to be done, we've got to go racing now. 4 minutes to go, the safety car lights have gone off, which means it's Will Redford to lead the pack around the final couple of corners. Now, when will he accelerate? That's the question. Has he already gone? He's going for a wide entry. That's a racing line. Will Redford drifting the back end. He hasn't controlled it. He hasn't heated his rear tyres up at all, and Dan Thackeray can't overtake, crucially, until the start-finish line, or until the safety car line. I'm not really sure which one comes first here at Brands Hatch, to be honest. I think they might be the same thing. They do cross the line. Will Redford gets away with it, but Dan Thackeray has bunched Max Edmondson into Morgan Bailey, and tell you what, that was probably one of the most entertaining race restarts we've ever had, and the fact that Will Redford has produced one of the most entertaining race starts we've had in the Civic Cup this weekend, I'm firmly on board with it. Morgan Bailey gets overtaken. Is that a charging Alistair Camp, who's just gone into 5th place? I think it might be. And they might have even gone into 4th. He's going into 3rd, actually, because he's overtaken Max Edmondson. 2 places in 2 corners for, Morgan Bailey. My apologies. I'm getting all mixed up trying to catch him in the background there. Will Redford, Dan Thackeray lead the way. Now, Thackeray has got good pace this weekend. I'm not saying Will Redford hasn't, but Thackeray has definitely been in the top 3 sort of breakaway contention. There was about 3/10 of a gap between Thackeray's lap time and Will Redford in qualifying. Here is Alistair Camp trying to hunker up the back bumper of Max Edmondson, who doesn't seem to quite have the pace, but he's making Camp go the long way around the outside of Paddock Hill Bend. I think Camp has managed to make it stick. He has done, actually. So even though Edmondson gave it his best shot, the reigning champion still managed to charge his way through. Up the inside goes Matt Luff, a potential champion in the waiting is Matt Luff. He'll be certainly hoping so anyway as they go towards Snetterton. He doesn't want to see Camp disappear into the distance. He wants to be right on the tail of his area motorsport teammate, that's for sure. Right, everybody take a breath. We've only got 2 minutes left. I can't believe it. It's a shame that we didn't have a full 15 minutes of this, but we probably wouldn't have got anywhere near the excitement that we had since that race restart. You can hear a bit of screeching in the background, and I think Redford is under a little bit of attack. I think Redford actually probably went a little bit wide. There was a lot of screeching in the background. And here comes Dan Thackeray, the number 29 on the inside, over the start-finish straight. It's going to be Redford who crosses the line to start with, but up the inside, you'd have to give the favouritism to Thackeray. Bailey trying to launch himself at the inside to try and follow through. Doesn't quite happen. Redford holding on to the outside, kicks up a duster as well on the left-hand side. He won't be able to outbrake Thackeray and keep it around the outside. A couple of cars can do it. Oh, big contact with Morgan Bailey, who decided, you know what, I see that gap and I'm going to take it. Thank you very much. Alistair Camp goes through, and we've got Caton in the kitty litter, and I think that's at Paddock Hill Bend on the exit, buried very deep and towards the top end of Paddock Hill Bend as well. And I'm not sure if they might throw the checkered flag early here. They won't bother putting a safety car out. They'll want this race to finish as quickly as possible. Thackeray takes the race lead then, and well, look at that. Morgan Bailey, who's been absolutely electric this weekend, properly under his rear wing as well. Now I'm going to see, is the checkered flag? It's not being held out, so we are just going to be under yellow flag conditions into Paddock Hill Bend. Morgan Bailey gives a big puff of rear wheel smoke, as he was trying to slow himself down into Paddock Hill and not go for the overtake. I think there may have been an overtaking opportunity, but he wasn't allowed because of those yellow flags for Caton in the kitty litter. Unfortunately, Will Redford, I've just been told, has retired. Now, we saw him make contact with Morgan Bailey as he tried to come back onto the racing line through Druid, maybe there's something there if his right front wheel was getting a little bit off camber or rubbing on the bodywork. So really, there he is, in fact, Will Redford. That's a big shame because, frankly, he was probably the most entertaining driver out there for race number 2. Now, I do have to pick a co-ord sport driver of the day, and unfortunately, race 1, there wasn't much to choose from. Race 2 has been very entertaining, but I'm just going to hold off because I believe there's going to be a checkered flag waved in the face of Dan Thackeray. He takes his hand out of the window, and he takes a race victory with Morgan Bailey in 2nd place, Alistair Camp in 3rd, and Matt Luff in 4th. Max Edmondson holds on to take 5th position. Wow, I'll tell you what, that was a lot of nothing, and then a lot of something, shall we say. A lot of everything, probably, is a better description. So much drama in the last 4 minutes. As I said, I do have to pick a co-ord sport driver of the day. I will probably hold on as long as possible before naming that. A couple of notable drivers, obviously, is Morgan Bailey, pole position, race win, and went from 10th into 2nd. To be honest, even as I'm saying it, I'm almost talking myself into it. Normally, as I said, if we have a co-commentator, we decide it amongst themselves, write it on a bit of paper and agree with it. We have Alistair Camp, who hasn't had the best day. He's got a 4 for the 3rd, which in itself isn't a terrible day, but it's probably not driver of the day worthy. Matt Luff with a 2nd place and a 4th, equally not the best results. Dan Thackeray with a 3rd place and a 1st is probably up there as well. It's a bit of a shame. Redford, if he managed to stay within the top 3 or 4 for that race and didn't retire, I probably would have given it to him just for that race 2 dramatics alone, but unfortunately with a race retirement probably isn't the way. I'm going to go with Morgan Bailey. I think it's hard to shy away from him today with the co-ord sport driver of the day. Pole position, race win for race number 1, and from 10th to 2nd, pretty special drive as well. Right, I'm going to go down and have a chat to a couple of our podium sitters, so we're going to go to a very quick ad break while I jump all the way down the stairs.
For voice and data solutions at speeds that are simply out of this world, choose Maximum Networks.
And you joined me in the pit lane after what was a frantic last 4 minutes of that. Well, it was a brilliant race, really, overall. We have a couple of drivers who are just getting their picture taken and discussing things amongst themselves. We'll have a chat with them in a couple of minutes' time. Dan Thackeray, if we turn the camera around, is currently just fist-bumping everybody and obviously getting congratulations left, right and centre, but I'm going to try and get his attention if I can. Dan? Happiest man at Brands Hatch, I think, at the moment. Those, I mean, we could talk about the first 10 minutes, but they're probably not really entirely worth talking about because the last 4 minutes for you were absolutely sensational.
Yeah, I mean, I got an amazing start, to be honest, and I knew that was going to be key to stand a chance. Tried my luck around the outside. There wasn't too much room, but just enough for a Civic to get through. And set about trying to hunt down. Well, actually, I did a 2 more until the last corner, and it was just Will in front. A safety car came out, and I honestly thought it might not it might not get any racing left because I could see the state of the car that was stuck on track, and I thought, oh, we might not get racing again. And when we saw like 4 minutes to go, I was like, it's got to happen now if it's going to happen at all. And just made a nice move into the last corner, and then not a nice pace to be with Morgan hunting me down, but it was enough, kept it enough.
I was going to say, very quickly, we didn't actually see how you got alongside Redford. Was there a bit of a lunge by you? Was it a mistake by him, or was it just that you carried more speed?
Actually, on the safety car restart, he had a big moment going into the last corner. Shuffled the whole pack up because no one really knew. I didn't know what to do. Should I go past if he goes off? I didn't know what to do. I think I made a late move into the last corner. There was enough space. I sent a Civic down the outside, and we ran alongside through the straight. Nice. Too wide through paddock, which is not always doable, but we made it work. And then I think just finished the job at Druids. And I didn't see what happened for him to drop behind. I just saw Morgan's headlights and thought, oh, please check a flag, please now.
Well, we're going to have a chat to Morgan actually because he was part of what the reason why I think Will Redford ended up falling back and ended up DNFing, unfortunately. But yeah, unfortunately his car is parked down there. But congratulations on the race victory, Dan. That was a brilliant race to watch. Right, we're going to bring in second place man, Morgan Bailey. I feel like I've spoken to you more than anybody today, but it's not a bad thing. I'm not complaining. Congratulations on the second place from 10th position. That must feel pretty damn good.
Yeah, I can't complain with that. I come this weekend hoping for 2 podiums. Winning a second is well chuffed. So, yeah, Dan did real well. We both did come through from where we was. But just got to be in the right place at the right time when there's traffic like that. The first lap was carnage, but we got through. So. And then Dan got round Will in the first corner, up towards the hairpin. I got down the inside. Will ended up wide, door to doors. As he come back on the track, but yeah, luckily no mechanical damage. We managed to finish second, so how happy. Yeah.
I was going to say, talk us through your sort of race start then as well, because we didn't really catch much of it, to be honest. All the attention, my attention, was on Will, because he went from 4th to 1st. So talk us through your perspective from 10th on the grid. Did you look forward and think that's just going to be carnage?
The first corner was pretty good. We was on the outside. I managed to get a gap through to the inside, and then it all kicked off down the bottom here. And luckily, we was on the outside and we managed to get around all of it. But, you never know on a reverse grid like this what can happen, because there's cars everywhere.
Well, it makes it very entertaining from our perspective. Congratulations on your second place, and I think I can reveal it. I'm going to reveal it anyway because I've already set it up there, but I've given you the Co-Ord Sport Driver of the Day as well. I'm not 100% sure what you get for that, but it's a fantastic honour for you to have as well. I'm sure you're pleased with it.
Thank you very much, thank you. Big thanks again to all the sponsors, Attis Insurance, Havercroft Construction, wouldn't be possible without them. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. We'll probably have a chat to you a little later on. Right, I want to have a chat to Alistair Camp, who, again, much like he was, has disappeared. No, he's right behind you, actually. Alistair, come in. 3rd place, then. I mean, you said that you wanted a bit of an improvement. 4th to 3rd, that's an improvement.
Yeah, definitely, no. Happy to be back on the podium. And the car felt a lot better then. Everything was what we wanted. So, yeah, with whatever we've changed in the right direction.
I was going to say, plenty, I mean, we've spoken about the last 4 minutes with all the drivers so far, but it's where the action was, really, wasn't it? In terms of your race start, though, you look like you were proper getting into the thick of it right at the into the first corner.
Yeah, you've got that split decision to make, and I felt like then at the start of the race, every decision I made just didn't seem to go my way. Like, I tried to get past a few hours up the inside of Bailey and Thackeray at Druids, and the next minute I got bottleneck behind, I think it's Max, and then I just couldn't go anywhere, so I was just like back again. So you're trying to fight it all, but no, I'm happy where I got. So points make prizes, don't they? So hopefully it's going to go that way.
Does that feel like a bit of a weight lifted off your shoulder towards Snetterton then? Because obviously before the race we had a chat and it didn't look like you were really enjoying the day so far, but does that feel like you've sort of lifted that, you can go into Snetterton with a bit of confidence in the car?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. Like I said, I think I just need to switch my head on for Snet, put my elbows out like I used to. Like then, Morgan got up the inside of me at paddock, and normally I wouldn't let that happen. It's just like too conscious, I think, about not finishing. That's my problem. So I think now it's just get my head down and whatever happens, happens, and we just get the elbows back out and do what we was doing at the start of the season, which was working.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's amazing, isn't it, what one good race can do to your mentality when you go into a season finale. Good luck for Snetterton. Hopefully the car's all good for you there as well, and well done on the 3rd place. Right, we do have production class as well, and I believe we have a race winner to talk to in the form of Alfie Jakins. Alfie, congratulations. I'll be 100% honest, I don't think the camera's caught much of it. To talk us through the race from your perspective, both before and after the safety car.
Safety car was quite scary around the back straight, but yeah, I managed to dive straight through the middle of all the cars going off and into the gravel and off on the grass and whatnot. I managed to come back out side by side with Louis, who took the grass. But yeah, it was quite close through there. Kept in front of Louis on the initial getaway on the start line, but he managed to get me round coming down the hill. But yeah, and then I managed to, on the safety car restart, managed to keep it in front of him and bring it home for another win.
I was going to say, it sounded like a much sort of more hard-fought victory this time round than it did in race 1, obviously. Did you sort of feel that in the car? Were you feeling the pressure a little bit after that safety car?
Yeah, Louis was definitely putting the pressure on after the safety car restart. He's getting closer and closer every lap. So yeah, great driving from him. Really, yeah, amazing driving from Louis. Closer every lap. Brilliant.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations on the race victory, Alfie, and we'll let you go and enjoy it. We'll bring in Louis, who you mentioned a few times then. And that one, Louis, I mean, it's nice that nothing really went wrong, per se. You couldn't quite get the move done on him, though.
Well, I got a really good start. And up at the top corner there, I did actually get the move done, and coming down through the second half of the lap, I kept in front, and going up round the last corner where all the cars just spread it out, I went one way, Alfie went the other. We came back side by side. He'd done me around the outside of Paddock Hill, and yeah, then the safety car boards came out and I had to stay behind, and then I stayed up for a long time, which does mess with your head a little bit if you think about it too much. And then on the restart, I had a cup car right behind me, and it was Harding, who was being really quick this weekend, so I let him through, and I dropped back about a second from Alfie, but I managed to catch up, and I was right on his bumper for the last few laps. But where I was quickest most was down the hill through Paddock Hill, where I was gaining on Alfie, but I couldn't make a move there because Caton was in the barriers, so the yellow flags are out. But yeah, P2, and it was a really good race, really fun race, so I'm really happy about that.
I was going to say, I'm glad to hear that you and Alfie had a brilliant sort of rivalry, and hopefully that continues for many more years to come. Congratulations on a great weekend, Louis. Right, so we've got a couple of social media interviews, so if you want to see extended highlights, or extended interviews, I should say, with our 2 race winners, then by all means, head over to the Civic Cup Facebook channel. But from me, Jack Oliphant, I'd like to say a big thank you to everybody who's tuned in to the Civic Cup, to Alpha Live and everybody else as well. It's been brilliant to be your host and commentator for today. Hopefully, I'll be back soon, but you can catch more of the Civic Cup action when they head to Snetterton for the grand finale.